Hey everybody, it is Jay from Biggest Loser Season 11, and I just wanted to have a full disclosure. We started this video over again because if you look over here in the corner down at the bottom, Kim's computer blew up while Andrea and I were doing this video, and she thought she would like weasel out of the room, nobody would see her, but there she was doing a reverse worm across the floor. And so like Andrea said, maybe we'll do a blooper of Kim leaving the room. So Andrea, say hi.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
And I just wanted to remind everybody, we talked about it in the last video. Andrea and I started this mainly because we wanted to see what would happen if we were watching the show together. Andrea's been coaching me for the past 8 months, and there's a lot of breakthroughs and things that I've had through Andrea's coaching. And the purpose of us doing this video is to just share some of the highlights from the show. It's not a blow-by-blow of everything that happened in the scale and the competition. And it's really just more of the higher level things that we hope will help people see some of the things that they can take into their everyday lives and create their own reality for what they're doing on their wellness journey. So that is our intention with what we're sharing. So with that being said, Andrea, ladies first, why don't you start and share what you saw for the opening of week 8?
Why, thank you, chivalrous Jay. That was almost a tongue tie for myself. This week, it kicked off with another competition of the team having to pull together and hold on to a net full of 10-pound medicine balls. And the thing that stuck out the most for me during this competition was Felicia. And I think it's like almost every week now I'm talking about her because she has this incredible transformation. And she's the kind of person I think I would hang out with at home because she's just out there. So the stuff that I loved what went on with her today or last night in the episode was how she started getting to a point of saying, I can't do this, I can't do it, my legs are killing me. And Dolvett was sitting there saying to her, and God bless that man because he really has learned how to motivate that girl. Yes, you can do it. Convince yourself you can do it. You can do anything. You are strong. And that's a lesson for everybody who's watching this to really think about. The first thing we do when something starts getting too hard for us is we say what we can't do, what we're not good at, and we're just terrible. And we have a hard time focusing on what our strengths are, how we are great, what we're spectacular at, all those things, because we don't want to come off cocky or conceited. But there's a big difference of being confident or cocky about something. The confidence is having the belief in yourself that you can accomplish any challenge, regardless of how hard it is. If you put the effort in, you can do it. And that's what I'd like people to really start thinking about. Instead of saying, I can't, let's start saying of what would it look like if I tried? And what would it look like if I could? And what does it look like when I can and I will? So that's what really stuck out most for me at the beginning of this episode.
And that's really, to me, the big takeaway for Biggest Loser is that the weight loss a lot of times each week is the drama, it's the money shot. But really, when you look at it, you're seeing everyday average people against all odds making amazing transformations. And I think that's really what I get most inspired by each week is when you see somebody accomplishing something, having a transformation in belief as much as whatever they accomplish, just the sheer belief that they're willing to put themselves out there and do something that they didn't think that they could do. So what happened, Andrea, with once, when the whole thing was done with that challenge, what happened there?
Jen's team won the challenge, and it looked like they decided to send the brothers home to compete against each other because they were going to be the ones whose only weight counted. Everybody's weight was important for the overall team, but their weight was the only one that was going to make the determining factor who went home on someone's team. So that was really interesting. What was your take on watching the brothers compete against each other?
Well, there was everybody goes home and there's the family and then there's the gigantic food array, everybody having all this amazing food. And that when you're in that competition at that point in time, it's not hard to just walk away from that, because you have a very determined goal in mind and you have an accountability. I say it a lot of times to people, if you really want to lose weight, it's not that hard if each week you stand in front of millions of people with your shirt off. That's not hard because there's an accountability. There's a day of reckoning that's happening. But what I really found that was great was watching how hard Bob really pushed the two brothers. And it's really a great example, once again, of what people can do that they didn't think that they could do. And as both of the brothers said, it was the hardest workout they had had so far. Bob is without a doubt an incredibly compassionate but tough trainer. A lot of people think Jillian was on our season was really rough because she'd scream and yell at you, but she would give you a little bit of a slack. Where Bob, you didn't mess with Bob. I mean, so he smiles, he's handsome, he looks great, but he is a killer trainer in terms of getting people to do things, and he did that with both of them. And I think it was great for the students to see the level of what what the brothers were able to do, and I think that probably motivated the students as well to see what's possible for them.
Yeah, before I talk about that, I want to go back to when you were referring to when they had the welcome home party at the house.
Yeah.
So for people that are watching this, they're not in a competition, okay? So they have to make a choice if I'm going to eat this or not. And there are a couple things I want people to think about when they're at home and they are going to a party. There are a couple of options. Eat before going to the party, so you know that what you've eaten you feel comfortable about. And 2, bring something. Bring something that you'll know that you feel comfortable enough that if you eat it, you won't feel guilty later on or have those conversations of beating yourself up for what you did. So just think of these little tricks. Instead of feeling like you're a victim to the situation of a party, of a whole social event, and feeling that pressure to eat something that you really don't want to. Well, you may want to, but you know that you'd be better off and feel much better if you didn't eat some of that. So that's a key thing that I don't want to overlook from the beginning part of this show, because you're right. When you're in a competition, absolutely, I could say no to anything and just eat those carrots, not a problem. But on any given day, you go to the party, you have no idea what's going to be there. So yeah. I think that was something to really pick up on, and I'm glad you mentioned it.
Yeah, and I think the other part, the food prep ahead of time and eating is great, and I think also it helps to have some reminder, whether it's on your cell phone or something that you say or read or whatever. It's the prep is great, but if there is something you're trying to accomplish, if you can kind of have that nearby, it could be a picture, it could be something just to remind you, because and you and I worked through this with me, I can prep and do that as well. But I found that when I've been most successful, that I've also made sure that I've really kept my head in the game, reminding myself of why I'm not eating what was put out in front of me and why I'm really enjoying the things that I prepped ahead of time too. So I think it is the physical stuff, and it's always the mental stuff as well, to remind yourself, you got to have some reason why you're doing that. Because if it's just pure willpower, and willpower is tough without some purpose, something to really go towards. So I think it's helpful to remember too.
Yeah, and I always mention the 5 questions that you should ask.
Oh, you and your 5 questions. What are your 5 questions?
Oh, my 5 questions. Do I want this? What purpose is it going to serve me? How will I feel after I eat this? What will I say to myself? And do I really want it? So by the time you get down to that last question, you really get an understanding of why am I going after this? Is it the taste? Does it bring back a memory? Does it make me feel good? And am I going to say I feel guilty afterwards? Am I going to complain how bloated I feel? If you're going to have all these things that you're going to beat yourself up over it, and you really don't want it, because in that instant gratification moment, it's all gone.
Yeah.
Because down the road, doesn't last for the long haul. So that's.
And I try to remember your 5 questions. I don't always remember the 5 questions, which is why I put them on my phone, because otherwise it just eludes me. So once again, I try to keep everything in that phone. At least that's the one thing I've got with me all the time is my phone. So whatever you do, if you want those 5 questions, I just thought about this. Where can they get the 5 questions? What's your website again?
It's AndreaKO.com, AndreaKAO.com. And if they want, they can email me, Andrea@AndreaKO.com. And if they have any other questions that they want to ask based on some of these blogs, I'll gladly answer.
Cool. So
back to the competition of the brothers.
Yes, back to the competition of the brothers. Yeah.
Physical side of it. It was really interesting to see the brothers push each other. It's be interesting. Who pushes you? Are you a self-motivated person? Do you like to be around large groups of people? What's the impact of that? And it was really great because they push each other in a certain way, which is a brotherly kind of competition of I'm better than you, no, you're better than me, I'm better, who could do it better. So that's that brotherly love thing that they know how to really push each other. And at the end, towards the end, as they were right before they were about to go back to the ranch, you see them working out individually and hearing Roberto talk about, I'm doing this for Steven, I'm doing this for Jackie, I'm doing it for Rob. And it took for him to be the last person, but I'll say this, always save the best for last. So making sure that whatever you're doing, remember, it's for you. It's not for anybody else. Put yourself first. You can do anything you want. And when you do, you show up a million times more for everyone else around you.
Yeah, and the other part, in the other video that we were doing until Kim kind of got out the room, we had talked about the fact that one of the great things for season 11 was it was a couple season. It was Jennifer and I together, and there was, Marcy and Courtney, and Jesse and Arthur, and you have all these people that are there as partners. And I think one of the things, the big takeaways that I got from the show was that for Jennifer and I to spend 8 months of our life enmeshed together in a very transformative journey of really getting clear about the things that really were habits and things that we were doing that weren't serving us, and then things that we were doing that really were. That was invaluable to have that time to really experience that transformation, and then that never goes away. So we can always reference things back and forth. So what I tell people in the real world, not on a reality show, find a training partner, find a good friend, find a family member, find a group of people, and make it fun, because most people do really well with any kind of a wellness journey with someone else. Most people are not good as loners. Usually a good loner is like an Olympic athlete. They're really good on their own, but most people need somebody else. And I think that that's one of the things that you should really do is look for another person or a group, and you'll find that they will keep you out there and accountable and motivated when it's easy for us sometimes to sell ourselves out, but somebody else won't.
Absolutely. And I think we both can talk, you talked through the experience of having Jennifer. And for me, when I first started learning how to run, I had a friend that would actually go on that journey with me and really help push me and motivate me. And the things that we learn from that is how to pay that forward and help other people that have been in the same exact circumstances that we have been. And you said the key word, which is my favorite word in the world, fun.
Yeah.
And so having fun, you want to do it more and more. But if you feel like this is a drag, it's not something that you're really into. So that's why some people who are alone tend to have a harder time than when you have a friend or a group of friends doing it together, because you get to laugh about it, talk about the strange things that happen and all that other great stuff.
Yeah. So we're coming down to the end of week 8, and there is the weigh-in. And without going into all the numbers, it was Rob. Rob went home. Rob Kidney went home, and I have a special place in my heart, obviously, for he and his daughter Sarah. The father and daughter team, and I felt bad that he had to go, but when they showed where he was at the end, having been down 100 pounds, not only did he look great, but I think one of the things that's amazing that you see when anybody loses weight, how much younger they look. I will tell you, one of the things that really always kind of broke my heart, I had a chance to go to a lot of the Biggest Loser casting calls, and there'd be a table of people sitting around there, a lot of people that you knew were young, but they would go around the table, give their name and say what their age was. And you would see people that said that they were 21 and they looked like they were 35. Now, in our mind, when we think of any of us that are overweight, you think of it being like chubby and angelic and like that for whatever reason, the only thing that happens is when people lose weight is they look so much younger. The only thing that happens when you're older and you lose weight is you get a bad case of turkey neck going on, which I don't love. I love, when I keep the weight off, and I love when I keep losing weight, but I don't love the turkey neck thing. But I'll take the turkey neck for having a much more healthy body and all that. But for people that are younger, it is remarkable. They literally look like they've taken 10, 20 years off their life when they lose weight. It's amazing.
Yeah, that, it's true that you say that, and so it's really pretty cool to see that transition, because that was one of the first things I thought about too when I saw Rob and his transformation, that how much he lost. But let me bring it back to the weigh-in real quick. I thought it was really funny, that competition thing between those two brothers, and the competition's really going to start to shine after this. That it was, Roberto weighed in, lost 11 pounds, and then Luis is like, I know I did better. It's like, I lost a lot more weight. They lost the same exact weight, but being that they were at different, stages, that's what made the difference. But, it worked. They lost the same. And so it's kept pushing them forward to keep going.
Yeah. You bring up a good point about that. A lot of times when people are looking at the numbers on the scale each week, they are forgetting that number is not the same as somebody else's number. Some of the girls that are losing 4 pounds are like, 4 pounds, but they weighed like 197, and somebody else is like 350 and they lost like 8 pounds. It seems like it's not. And that happened on our season. The girls were rock stars in terms of weight loss. It's so many times people look at the number on the scale, and it's the percentage of weight loss, and if it's body fat or hormones or water, whatever. That's the tough part with all this. The scale is but one measure, but for all of us, it messes with our mind. We're so used to that numerical, equation of what we think we're good or bad or whatever. And I know there's a lot of controversy at times. People don't like, people looking at the scale and judging themselves by that, but it's not really a judgment issue. It's just but one measure. And as long as somebody doesn't really go overboard with it, it's not hurtful that, kind of know where we are each particular week. So here we are. We're winding into week 9. And the thing that's interesting is, you and I were just talking about this before we know it, we're going to be, well, you're in California. I'm not in California, but I'll be in California, and we'll be at the finale together, which will be a lot of fun. And this season's a relatively short season. It's going to be 13 weeks in total with the live finale on the February 22nd. So now we're into week 9. And this is the immunity challenge. And, tell us what happened with that immunity challenge.
Well, I think this is where I said it becomes very interesting about how competition really starts playing a role in all of this. Now, you look at the brothers, and they're about sports, and I'm better, and I could do this. And here comes Felicia, and she wins the immunity challenge easily. You watched it. You saw her get on the spot quicker. And watching Luis' reaction to it, and how angry he was, and Roberto not seeing what happened, opening up his mouth and saying such hurtful words to somebody as, you gave the weakest person immunity. He may be sorry for it. He could apologize for it. But here again, Felicia is hearing, you're the worst. You're the weakest one here. And I tell you, watching, she's been kicking some major butt on the past few episodes with whatever weight she's losing. But as she's trying to build her self-esteem and believing in herself, she could brush it off. She may not care, but those words still stick, and they're still very hurtful. And I love watching Erin go to her defense and was like, you better just watch it. The girls are just as strong and just as tough. And it's very truthful. It's great truth, but it's a difference between watching how people are very reactive to things. You lost a challenge, but did you? And the person that wasn't even the one who lost is the one who became so mean and so hurtful. And even when he kept apologizing, they showed him even later on at the weigh-in. For me, it was a little. Those words were out there already, so it was kind of tough.
Yeah, that's definitely, and that is one of the things that happens, and I think that's the reason why it really is hurtful, is that a lot of times when we're younger, from our parents sometimes, from our friends sometimes, from people that we know, that old line, sticks and stones will break. What is it? Sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me.
Right.
Actually, that's not true.
Not true.
The words are the worst, and they stick with people usually for a lifetime, unfortunately.
Yeah, crazy thing. Like I'll bring up, like, if even from my childhood, I'll never forget standing in the basement. My aunt had said to me, she's like, "You're chubby." I said, "No, it's baby fat." "No, you're too old. You're chubby." And I'm like 6 or 7 years old, and you hear this from your aunt, and you're like, I'm fat. And that's what you think. Like, it's amazing how words stick with you. And like from that age on, you think there's something wrong with you. And so
Yeah.
you really need to really think about words that they use towards children. Because like I said, I was 6 or 7 years old and I remember that conversation. Who knows how many times she's told me how beautiful I was? I don't know.
Yeah.
She has. But I remember something from that. That's what sticks out. So words are so powerful. And as parents, you don't know how quickly it impacts your kids, no matter how young they are.
Yeah, and it stays
Especially
forever.
when you say it to yourself. And if you talk about yourself being fat or yourself being ugly or yourself not being worth, your kids pick up on that and they start thinking the same things about themselves. So
I'm hoping what has happened over time, and even what's in social media and a lot of more awareness, I think there's more and more awareness of that nowadays, and people sometimes are a little bit too sensitive to some of the things, but I do think that it's definitely, hopefully, that trend is moving towards people really realizing how powerful what we say to each other is, especially at an early age. So hopefully that's the case. Felicia won the immunity challenge, and then there's a lot of things in being a Biggest Loser contestant that are amazing. I mean, Get on the Show is amazing, and then each week there's another thing that happens. But one of the things that a lot of people loved was when you got to be at singles, and this is week 9 is singles, and it was just sort of like our season was very, very long, so it took forever to get to singles. But it's like a real sense of accomplishment. It's like a badge of honor that you made it that far, and it's like it's the coolest thing. So, it brought back memories of what that felt like to be in the singles part of it, and it's really what all of our journey is like. Is we may have a partner, or whatever, but still, bottom line, it is your own individual journey, and really what makes a difference in your life. So that's why this is always significant at this time in the show. From there, also, it was the whole thing with the thing I was a little bit surprised at was when they had Jackie and Colby went out for the wine, and then they were eating some bacon.
Well, let's back that up for a second.
Okay.
Because not only was it singles, I think this has to be one of my favorite episodes all time of The Biggest Loser history, because they brought in reality into an episode. So everybody was not only single, but you're on your own to make choices as you were at home. So everybody got a car. Everyone had to go and get their own food. Everyone had to decide if they were going to go out, how the gym was going to work out. So all these different types of opportunities. And they had workout facilities that were 20 or 15 miles away that they had to drive to. So sharing with people in life that working out's not always convenient, where you just walk out your front door and here you are in a gym that's beautifully equipped. That doesn't happen always for everybody. Not me, I know that. But so we have to drive to things. And so that's where it's actually kind of cool, where the first thing you see is them get in a car. And do you want to go on a wine tasting in California and go to a safari, or go work out with Jen? And that's where we saw both Jackie and Colby, who said it was his birthday, go ahead and take the temptation of what that choice was, as opposed to going to work out with Jen.
Yeah, I have to be very honest and transparent. I watched that evening from the treadmill. And so I tried to multitask watching the show and being from the treadmill, and my brain got a little foggy. So that's why all of a sudden disconnected. Like, oh yeah, that's right. They had all these cool cars and drive the cars around. And you're right. That really was the reality. I will tell you, I was cringing though when they were sitting there having the wine, and I'm like, I know that they were having that temptation, but it was like I wouldn't have done it. For me, at least, I would not have done it. Anytime we had any temptations on the show of any kind, anything, I wasn't touching that with a 10-foot pole. But that was just me. That's not the case as I live my life every day. I have to really be aware of it and be much more conscious. But in that particular environment, I was like, you couldn't got me to budge on anything. It wouldn't matter. No.
Yeah, and and that's what a great part of why this was one of my favorite episodes is because people made the choices to walk away from working out and saying, you know what, I deserve this. I've been working out hard and I have that. Because that's what it is in real life. You're
Yeah.
given oh my God, we've got these awesome tickets to this concert that I've always wanted to go see them and now they're free. Should I go for this lifetime experience that I've never had? Or do I say I can't because I'm going to go to the gym? 9 times out of 10, we're going to choose that incredible experience that we've never had. And so that made the appreciation for it. Now, a couple of things happened in this episode that I might bounce around for a couple of seconds. One, Erin found her strength watching Jen push her and maxed out a treadmill. So here it's not about the actual physical workout part of it. It's going back to that I can do it. Saying, here's my strength. I'm going to push myself. What would it be like to try? I did it. And that's exactly what went on with Erin. Like to finally see you can do something. It's pushing through that stuff that you beat yourself up over and just saying, why not? Let me try it. And that was really cool to see. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that's great when you get a chance to see somebody have that kind of breakthrough. It's a real high because it's not only just for what that particular event is, it's that you start to have a whole new way of looking at who you are and what's possible. You start to do things you never thought before. So sometimes you don't have to have a breakthrough in everything. You have one particular thing and it anchors you in the ability to see that you can do so many other things. So I think anytime that you get a chance to have somebody push you physically, that visceral way of you really, it's very powerful. I don't even know how to describe it other than the fact that your whole entire brain and sense of what you can do changes. And I know for myself, it was funny because one of the things that happened when I ran my first marathon and my IT band blew out at mile 5. I had people when I finished the race, they're like, why did you finish? And it was like, in my mind, there was no other option at that point in time. It's just like, that's what you did. And because when The Biggest Loser, there were things that over time, I was able to accomplish that you just didn't give up, and I think that's why when I saw Erin do that, there's a part of her now that is totally transformed that she can always tap back into. And if she's not sure, she knows that she could have a trainer or somebody help her get over a hump, So I think that it was a combination of what Erin did and also looking at what happens if you actually hire a coach, hire a trainer to move you beyond what you maybe think you can do yourself. Because we will sell out on ourselves a lot of times easier than somebody else will that's a trainer or a coach.
And one of the things that Erin gets to do now going forward, which people should think about this at home, is that she has this experience to when the next thing she comes upon, a hurdle that she's not sure she can do, she has experience of, well, what was it like when I tried to do that? So using different experiences in your life that you originally thought you couldn't do and now can, it's like, you can run a marathon. You never thought you could do that, and you did. And so now you have that as the experience of what's the next thing I want to do. So it's those areas that are really, really cool to see what happens. So let's move forward to the next option was to go parasailing or go work out with Dolvett. And there you see Felicia went and Jackie went and Lauren went. The three of them went. And Erin went into the gym and she says, you know what? I'm strong enough to hang with the boys. So right there, she knew she could go and she went into that gym. So that's that belief of where I might have backed out, I'm not afraid anymore and I could go for it.
Yeah.
I will skip over the whole let's get drinks and get our ears pierced type of thing. But that was like a fun bonding moment for the girls, which I thought was really cool. But this is where the boys trying to team up against the girls and the competition really comes down to if you have all the guys who can lose all this tremendous amount of weight all come together, that's really not going to work. So competition again, that really played a big role. But I will say that I was extremely impressed. Jackie getting up at 5:30 in the morning, going to the gym, doing her workout. She is a prime example of how to have that balance in the world of reality. She made choices. She got her workout in. She did it on her own. She pushed what she had, and she had a big number drop too for that week. So I think she found her inner coach, listening to her father inside her heart helped push her forward.
Definitely. And as it turned out, it was surprising, but Lewis ended up, going home. He was the one that, went home this particular week. And like what happened with Rob last week, when you see how he looks at this point in time, what an amazing difference. He looks overall, he looks younger. Not just the look, but his voice, his way of being is much more vibrant and full of life. It's great when you see people do that. And you really hope they hang on to that, for the rest of their life as well.
Yeah, and I don't think he has much more weight to lose, because he looked pretty thin by the time you saw him at home. So it'll be interesting to see what he looks like in 2 weeks from now. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see the both brothers. How they really do look so much alike. But it's going to be an interesting experience to see.
Definitely. So that's it for week 8 and 9, and we will be back next week talking about 10 and 11. And like you said, it's 2 weeks away. We'll be out in, like I said, you're in California. But we'll both be in LA at the finale, and we're looking forward to it. So that's it for now, and we'll see you guys next week.
Have a great week, everyone.